I just continue down the, oh, this is who Annie Long is, like this is who Annie Long needs to keep on being, I get into the college, I do all this, like mentally I'm gonna be done. It's not sexy, it's not motivating, it's not fun. What does this just like mean for the channel? Like, I'm gonna try to make this the most honest video I've ever made. If that means that I end up breaking into tears, then I guess I'll have to accept that potential consequence. I've been talking to my friends a lot recently about how I've been feeling over voice memos and stuff, but it's so hard to be vulnerable with you guys sometimes because I feel like I haven't been vulnerable with you in so long. Recently I've been looking back at old videos of when I was in middle school, and I feel like when I was in middle school I feel like it was so much more real on this YouTube channel. I felt something and I just said it. I don't remember when things changed. To be honest, for the last year and a half, I haven't felt like normal or even right filming YouTube videos. Weeks will go past where I don't film YouTube videos and people will ask me like, oh, do you still do your YouTube channel? Like, have you been filming recently? I'm like, I haven't filmed for like 4 weeks. And I would just go in these cycles where for 3 weeks I wouldn't film anything at all. And then for 1 week I just film all my content, and I'd film all the productivity content that people want to see and trying to give educational value or whatever. I've struggled to come as just who I am on this YouTube channel. Like, I show up to you guys on my good weeks, right? On 1 week out of the 4, but I'm not truly honest about everything, and that's why I want to try to make this video as honest as I can make it. I'm not gonna go into like super like detail of actually what, who, and everything, because I want to protect the people in my life and know what's appropriate to share and not share on social media. So I want to be vulnerable but not fully transparent in an immature way. But I've just been feeling a lot recently, and I feel like my capacity to handle it has like decreased, but I feel like it's because I'm more aware of everything I'm feeling. Like, I think a year ago I was probably a lot more hyper productive than I am now, but it was because I never even let myself address the emotions I was going through. So that's why it was so much easier to just push through everything. And then all of a sudden for like 2 weeks I would get this extreme physical illness because probably everything that I was feeling inside. Honestly, last week it was terrible because I felt like sick in the heart. Like, when I mean by sick in the heart is like you just feel your heart like breaking, you know? And then I was also just getting more physically sick. And when these two things happen, I like just physically don't respond to anyone's text messages. I just like can't. I can't even think about creating YouTube videos. It's even harder to create YouTube videos when you're trying to put on this act of who you are. And I've been so confused like who I even am anymore. Honestly, the only thing I'm really sure about when it comes to who I am is like who I am in Jesus. I hope this does not sound like Jesus freak or like cheesy or anything. I'm serious. Like, I've been feeling like really culturally confused also for a while. In this video I'm gonna jump everywhere in different places, and just please accept that because I'm trying to make this the most honest video I've ever made. And it's not structured. It's not something I can create timestamps for. But growing up when I was a lot younger, I was just very ashamed of my Asian culture. I remember in elementary school, my mom would come in to teach Chinese, and there were a couple of experiences where like my 2nd grade crush I had, for instance, made a low-key racist comment at that time, and I don't hold it against him now. I was writing a memoir about that for my English project. And it's really weird because when I write stories about things that happened in my childhood, I then start to connect them to how they've affected me now. After that, I really shut out engaging with my Chinese culture. I didn't try to learn more Chinese. When I got the option to take a foreign language in 6th grade, I didn't even choose Chinese. I didn't consider taking Chinese. And it was only till later when I realized I can't even communicate with my grandparents. Like, they don't even know who I am, right? They only know me through what my parents say about me. Like, they have this watered down version of who I am. So it's just like I want to be able to express myself to them before they, you know, leave this earth. So that's when I decided to start taking Mandarin in school, and that's just kind of an example of where I've kind of been in this cultural journey. So I started to accept and want to learn more about my Chinese culture this summer. I watched a Chinese show, learned some more Chinese, but also recently I've been struggling to grapple with the toxic parts of Chinese American culture, of Chinese culture, especially the toxic academic standards. For instance, I was at this family dinner recently. There were these 3 college students. They like went to MIT, you know, Boston College. Everyone's parents would literally describe them as like their school title. They'd be like, oh, meet Kathy, the MIT girl. Meet Rachel, the Harvard girl. And I realized in my experiences in the Dominican Republic, other different communities, right, that aren't Asian American necessarily or Chinese American specifically, that's just not a thing. You are not introduced by the accolades of where you go to. But it was such a paradigm shift for me because it made me realize this is why my parents emphasize academics so much. Because if I don't go to college, they're just gonna introduce me as, this is Annie, the girl that doesn't go to college. And there have been people in my life that have said, oh, you don't want to be known as the YouTube girl. I've always been like, oh, why would someone describe you as a YouTube girl? Now I realize, like, especially in the Chinese culture, you are kind of described as what you do for an occupation or what school you go to, your accolades. And I've been struggling with this because I want to be confident in my culture, but now I'm just like, do I even want to identify as, like, Chinese? Like, I don't know. This should just send me into, like, a really weird thought loops of just, like, right now I'm learning, like, Mandarin, I'm learning Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and Spanish, and just seeing like cultural differences between all three, and also like going to a church that is primarily Brazilian and then going to a school that's like really white. Kind of just like, it's sad because I don't think the exploration of different cultures should like be a weighty thing or like a negative thing, because it's really positive. Like, I love discovering new cultures, but also in the process I'm just like, how do I even make sense of my own? And like, am I even proud of my own? Like, what in my own culture do I want to pass down to my kids in the future, right? Like, do I want them to grow up with the same academic pressure that I did? I don't want them to. That's been one piece of the identity that I've just been like confused about, because I think in the past I always felt like, oh, I'm like whitewashed, like I need to get more in touch with my Chinese culture. But now I'm like, do I want to be like Chinese American? And I hope you're not offended if you're super like pro my Chinese pride, you know? Like, I'm not trying to be discriminatory against my own race. I'm just saying there's complicated things in the Chinese culture that I haven't really known how to grapple with, you know? Like, are all cultural differences like positive, negative, or is it just neutral? Like, is it a negative thing that Chinese culture really like emphasizes academic success, or is that just a neutral difference, right? I think something I've also been grappling with is me as a person versus my personal brand on social media. I've grown up on social media for about like 8 years now, and that's kind of crazy to me sometimes. Like, I feel like those old people that are like, I've been teaching for 30 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, because to a 16-year-old, doing something for 8 years feels like it's been a while, right? Like, I feel like a figure skater that's been doing something for a while. And part of that, I take pride in it. And like, yeah, this has been a hobby I've been doing for a while. But I've also kind of tracked in this whole like character arc or journey of doing YouTube. Like, when did I stop being fully honest about what I'm going through? I always feel so ashamed to talk about this because a lot of the times people in the comment section are right. Like, I know a lot of the times people in the comment section are not, but there's been a lot of criticisms I've gotten in my comments that I look back at now and I'm like, they're right, you know? And one of them is definitely niching down as a productivity YouTuber, like at a young age, has been difficult. It's given me a lot of opportunities to impact people. Like, for instance, I love running my coaching program that's centered around productivity. But also, it's made it difficult to feel like I can express parts of my personality that are contrary to this personal brand that I've created. And I feel like through seeing YouTube as more of a business and me as more of a brand, it's made it just so difficult to be on camera, because I'm like, what do people want? Like, what does the algorithm want me to say? And like right now, I even feel uncomfortable like talking in circles and like not having a script, because I'm like, oh, viewer retention down. But recently I've just gotten in a space where I'm just like I can't go on filming not being who I am. Like, it's so exhausting. It's not worth it. And I think that's honestly a big reason why I wanted to start this coaching program, like be on Zoom, because on Zoom I feel like I can be myself. But I've realized like I don't actually have to be on Zoom to start being myself. Like, I should be able to do that now. And I want to do that more with you guys. It's been difficult for me to even be myself with other people. Something I realized this summer is I can be very image conscious of like, especially if I'm in a group of people, I'm thinking like, what am I saying, and like, how is that being received by multiple people? And it gets more exhausting the more people I'm around. So for instance, if I'm in a group of 2 other people, I only have to consider, right, 2 other people's opinions. But now let's say I'm in a group of 10 people. I'm trying to appease everyone in this group, and it's like, that's impossible. Or like all these mental calculations of you're taking everyone's preferences, trying to find like the sum or the average of it and appease the group. And it's just like, that is so exhausting. And I think the awareness of this tendency has been helping me a lot, but it still feels it just feels uncomfortable to know that I struggle with this, and it feels uncomfortable to like even work on it. Yeah, it's been difficult. And I think like even just through like doing YouTube, teaching about productivity and everything, a lot of the times because I teach on stuff, I feel like I can't struggle with it. There have been times where like junior year, I felt overwhelmed, like so far. Why do I feel this way? Am I allowed to feel this way? Am I allowed to express that I even feel this way on my Instagram story because I teach about productivity, right? And I think that's normal. Like obviously you want to establish credibility as a coach and you want to do X, Y, Z, but it doesn't mean that life is always going to be perfect. One of my pastors checked up on me recently and how I was doing. I talked about sometimes I feel ashamed when I'm not doing well because I feel like it's because I did something wrong, or sometimes with self-help, a really like dangerous mindset to get into is that if you can control all the variables of your life enough, then you won't have problems or you won't be sad, right? Or that you can like optimize how you feel. So then whenever I don't feel well or I'm sick in the heart, sick physically, I'm like, this is because I did something wrong. Like I didn't manage my time. I didn't spend enough time with friends. Like I didn't prioritize this enough. So then I just like feel like ashamed when I talk to people about I'm not doing well. But I had to realize like everyone goes through life challenges. And the whole point of productivity, or the whole point of self-development is to have the awareness and to hopefully mitigate around some unnecessary life challenges, but it doesn't mean that you're never going to go through life challenges. So I think I'm reminding myself of that a lot. And there's a lot of things I feel like I accept logically and conceptually, but in my heart, I don't fully understand or I don't fully believe. I think even recently I've just been exploring like self-worth, where I feel like self-worth is something that I immaturely or naively just moved past. I was like, yeah, of course I feel confident in myself. I'm realizing recently, being social, being extroverted does not mean that you're confident in yourself. Being social does not mean that you're even approachable or emotionally available. Like recently I've been like, why would I be intimidating, right? Like I walk up to a lot of new people, I talk to them. That doesn't actually mean that I'm like emotionally available, right? Like I feel like a lot of the times I actually just like bypass the whole vulnerability process, which is like why I want to work on this, talking to you guys. I just want to like be honest about everything that I'm feeling. And besides, it's okay to have these feelings. Like I kind of expressed some of these feelings of feeling lost and like what is my identity on Instagram, and a lot of you guys were able to relate. And it made me realize like these are the feelings that we don't really often talk about with our school friends sometimes or whatever, but it's necessary to talk about. That's also something I've been thinking about recently. Like I want to be more honest with my friends at school on how I'm feeling. Like sometimes I get scared to express these things because I feel like they're heavy or they're like really philosophical, or I'm like, I don't know like where I am culturally, you know, like, and I just feel like a lot of the times it doesn't fit into the box of what you usually talk about during school. Talk about your academic pressure, you talk about sports or whatever. But if I want to build genuine friendships at school, I need to be okay with like changing the topic and being untraditional with it. This summer, I really talked about how I want to stop finding my identity in the things that I do. Made a 60-second video talking about who is Annie without her YouTube channel. This is something that I said that sounded good in a video script, and I think deep in my heart I wanted to explore, but I did nothing to really change my lifestyle and actually explore it. For instance, if I really wanted to discover who Annie is without her YouTube channel, I would like delete my YouTube channel and like have to figure it out, right? And I still think my YouTube channel can impact a lot of people, so I'm not gonna do that. But I think I said I wanted to find my identity outside of what I do, but I don't think I really started that journey until now. It was when I realized like junior year, like I really felt like I have no emotional capacity to even think about YouTube or even think about the business. And that's really scared me because I'm just like, I don't do a lot of extracurriculars outside of the business. So it's like, if I'm not thinking about the business, do I have no life then? Or I think I'm just very used to people telling me that I'm ahead of people my age, that I'm like set for life, you know? And I think it doesn't actually make me lazy, but it creates this false sense of security in what I do. Like I shouldn't feel confident because I'm ahead of other people. Like I should be confident because of who I am in God. Yeah, I've really been learning the importance of that recently. Because at first I said, oh, I don't find my identity in being a student. I find my identity in being an entrepreneur and being a young entrepreneur. And then I started to feel all the stress of junior year and I was like, wait, I can't even be this young entrepreneur. Or like, what does this mean for me now? And I don't want to take the easy route by just going back to this identity of like, I'm a student, I'm my grades, whatever. And I think this like God is doing a new thing in my life right now where he's challenging me like, actually just look past that. Like this is your challenge, this is your leap to like actually accept yourself without the accolades and to feel lost. I think it's actually okay sometimes to feel like you're at the same place as people your age or almost feel behind. And I think I need to be humbled and I need to feel that, and I need to feel like I can fail. I feel like because I've developed this YouTube channel or this niche or this whole personal brand, okay, it's this whole concept of who you are as a person, and I feel like it's really not serving me right now. it's restricting me from what I don't know, right? I don't know what I don't know. I don't know the interests that I'm not aware of right now. And it feels really, really uncomfortable because I'm like, who even am I outside of this personal brand? Like, how do I represent myself? And like, it's very difficult for me to even film, get on camera when I'm struggling with like, who am I? Because I feel like if I express myself differently every day on the internet, like my personal brand will seem inconsistent, or I'll seem like, oh, Annie thinks this one day, she thinks this another. But that's kind of like part of the teenage journey. There's things I said like 6 months ago I completely disagree with now. Yeah, and I guess that even like challenges a topic. It's like, can you even teach on specific things when you're at this age and your brain is changing so much? I think still yes. Like I think the things I've done have created a lot of impact, and I'm really like happy I went through it and I've learned. But I think right now in this season of my life, there's stuff that I want to learn about that's just completely miscellaneous, or I just love learning. I love reading. Sometimes I just don't want to be on camera and I want to lock myself in my room and just like read books all day. And I want to give myself the opportunity to do that. In freshman and sophomore year, I was very like purpose driven on very specific things like my YouTube channel, the business, whereas most high school students during that time were really just like diversifying their attention, trying out all these new clubs, really discovering who they are. I've had to accept that I guess my timing is different. And then now junior year, I'm kind of reverting back into that fluid thing of like, who really am I? And I guess it's like counterintuitive to what you'd think like colleges want, right? Because most people junior year start niching down on like, this is my personal brand as a student. This is who I am. You start like decreasing the amount of extracurriculars you take, and you really just focus on what's related to your potential major or whatever. And that was my original plan. I thought it was so good freshman and sophomore year. I was like, okay, I've already got this down, right? So junior year comes, like, let's just keep on going down this path. But I realized I actually have to kind of do high school flipped backwards. And it's a little scary because right now I feel like I'm going in like the opposite direction of where most of my classmates are going. And it makes me feel behind, it makes me feel lost, but I know I need to do this now because if I just continue down the, oh, this is who Annie Long is, like this is who Annie Long needs to keep on being, I get into the college, I do all this, like mentally I'm gonna be done. I'm okay with sacrificing the accolades or what college I get into to be mentally healthy and to be relationally healthy and spiritually healthy. But it feels scary in the process because I don't know exactly where this is going to land me. But I've just realized I've gotten too caught up in this idea of who I am, being an entrepreneur, doing YouTube, and I'm just trying to like let go of that a bit. And like even the identity of being productive. Right now, I'm a lot more easily overwhelmed than I used to be. And it's because I consider my feelings and emotions. Like I don't really know if I can like be a work machine anymore, or at least in this season of life, because I care about more things. And in the process of being a work machine, you also lose out on other things. Recently, like I just really wanted to be more emotionally available to other people. Like I feel like I can't like truly develop close relationships and healthy relationships if I'm not fully emotionally vulnerable, which again, yeah, is why I'm just trying to like put this all out there in a video. But I just want you guys to know that I like don't really know what I'm doing. Like overall, I'm mentally okay, but I would just say like the last week has been kind of like, I don't want to say sorrowful, but sorrowful. It's been filled with some sorrow, or it's just felt like a lot of like healing, you know, from like childhood wounds, it's showing up emotionally, everything. Like I'm just reading so many books about emotions and relationships right now, and it's not really fun. Like I don't read these and I'm not like, haha, yeah, like deep work by Cal Newport, like yo, let's go time block for this next week. It's not sexy, it's not motivating, it's not fun. So I think that's what I've been feeling over this last week. Just kind of like sad, and like I planned to hang out with my friends from school last Friday, but then I got sick, so then I couldn't go. So I was like, okay, I really am home and I'm dealing with all these emotions and stuff. And I literally just like couldn't physically respond to people's texts over the weekend, so like that wasn't great either. I think this is like a good journey overall. Like I can feel like my future self being like, Annie, this is a good growth time. You know, like you have to go through this to be healthy in the future, and you can't be so comfortable on this fake foundation of identity that you've built, because eventually it's going to come crashing down. And I've also realized recently I want to get more in touch with like my heart and my body, right? There's like the mind, soul, body. you know, and how all three interconnect together. A lot of the times I'm thinking a lot, right, through my business, through school and everything, but I want to feel and to move more. Even just physical activity. Like recently I've just been like the gym, like every day, like the gym, you know? Sometimes it doesn't seem like going to the gym is like gonna help you, you know, with your academics or whatever. Like going to the gym sometimes doesn't feel productive. Like if you're like in a weird mindset, it doesn't feel productive. But then I realized I want to be someone that has control over the body. If you like didn't do physical exercise at all, like how would you even feel comfortable like moving your body? Or like, yeah, I just don't want to feel out of touch with my body. I want to feel in touch with my body and in control of it. And also my heart, like I want to really reconnect with like music and art. Like the other day I went to the art room spontaneously at my school and I was like, yo, like, can I paint? Like, I know I'm not part of this art class, but can I paint? So I did some of that and it felt really good and meditative. Yeah, I want to just express myself more in a dynamic range of things. I think the last 2 years I've really niched down literally my personality. I've grown in a lot of specific interests, which I'm really grateful for. You know, I'm grateful for the gift of coaching. I'm grateful for the gift of reading. I don't know, whatever. Like I used to hate books, so definitely made progress there. But there's a whole range of random miscellaneous skills that don't really fit together well in a college application or a personal brand on YouTube that I just like must pursue now, even though it feels uncomfortable for my mental health in the long run and for like actual wisdom, right? Because I don't want to give people productivity advice that is just going to make them mentally miserable at the end of the day. So now I guess like what does this just like mean for the channel? It just means that I don't really know what's really going on. I was considering like, am I even gonna create videos and stuff? And like, I'm not really going on a YouTube like break. I'm just like trying to do this in a way that feels authentic to me because it's been so long since I feel like YouTube has felt authentic to me that I almost forget how to do it. I love y'all so much. Be praying for me. Like I do have a really good support system, so don't like worry about me. But I did want to just like be honest with you guys about everything I've been feeling.